Hello and welcome to another edition of Southern Bred Adventures. Today we're going to be field stripping a Glock. We have a Glock 19 Generation 5 here, and we're going to demonstrate field stripping this. The good thing about Glocks are they're all the same. You can, regardless of what generation it is, they all field strip the same way. The first thing I want to do is make sure there is no ammo in our work area here, because we don't want to take a chance of somehow the ammo ending up in the gun and causing an accident. Second thing, we're going to check and double check that this firearm is unloaded. First thing I'm going to do is rack the slide back, release the magazine, and we see that the magazine does not have any ammo in it. We also look down into the chamber here. There is no ammo in this gun. Okay, we'll move the slide back. Now, one of the first things you have to do to field strip this firearm is it must be decocked. Now, the only way you can decock this is to pull the trigger. So we're going to double check again. Make sure there is no ammo in this firearm. I'm going to point it in a safe direction, and I'm going to pull the trigger. Firearm is now decocked and can be field stripped. Okay, I want to grip this firearm with my right hand. Obviously, if you're left-handed, you would do it with your left hand. And I'm going to grip it like this, and I'm going to move this slide back approximately 1/8 of an inch. Now, one of the problems sometimes people run into is they pull this back too far, and what you end up doing is recocking it. So then you've got to, again, double check it, decock it by pulling the trigger. I want to pull this slide back approximately 1/8 of an inch. It takes the pressure off these two slide stops, one on both sides. I pull the slide stops down, and then the slide will easily come off the gun. Now we have our recoil spring here. I'm going to depress the recoil spring, lift this out, take hold of my barrel lug and pull the barrel out. Now we have a field stripped Glock 19, which then can be, you can perform maintenance on it. If you need to disassemble it any further, I would recommend getting a gunsmith or a certified Glock armorer. Now, sometimes people would like to disassemble the slide, the magazine. Now, the magazine, the only time I would do that is if I'm doing fast reloading and dropping the magazines onto the ground or a sandy area. It can get sand in there and cause it not to operate. It's very simple. You can use a screwdriver or a punch. There is a little button here that locks the bottom plate onto the magazine. But I have a tool here which you can pick up at Midway USA or Brownells or other firearm suppliers. And I just put this in there and pull back on it, and the bottom cap slides right off. Well, make sure you don't let this spring then you have your magazine disassembled. You can check, make sure there is no grease or oil. You don't want to get grease or oil in this magazine, because it will get on the ammo, and you don't want the grease and ammo on your ammo. So here we have Glock 19 that is field stripped, the magazine that is field stripped, is ready to be cleaned. We're not going to clean it today. That will be a video that will be upcoming with the Southern Bred Adventures, but for right now, that's as far as we're going to go. We have a field strip Glock 19 here, so we're going to go ahead and put it back together and perform the function checks to make sure that everything is working. I'm going to do it in a reverse order, so since I did the magazine last, I'm going to do the magazine first. We want to make sure we put this spring in here with the follower in the correct position. We'll put our retaining cap here, our base cap, slide that forward until it clicks in place. Now we will do the reinsert the barrel. Clicks right in place, and then our recoil spring. Want to depress our recoil spring, make sure it's seated good in this. There's a slot in there. It's kind of a half moon strip. Make sure that it is inserted fully. Now we will take the slide, put it on the body of the. Make sure it lines up good with the our lugs. Now, if you feel any resistance, you might want to pull this off and check your recoil spring to make sure it is seated properly. Now we'll just slide this all the way back, and now this firearm is reassembled and ready for use. But before we use, we want to perform some function checks to make sure everything is working properly. The first thing we're going to do is perform the trigger check. You can see here the Glock has in the trigger here a little lever. This firearm I was going to say this firearm cannot fire. Remember, anything mechanical can fail, but if everything is working properly, this firearm cannot fire and this little lever is depressed. So I'm going to place my finger on the outside without depressing the lever, pull the trigger to the rear. It should not fire. The same way on the left side, it should not fire. Okay. The next thing I want to check is my magazine spring. So I'm going to slide to the rear, and when the firearm is empty, it should lock to the rear. Sometimes you'll get a weak spring, magazine spring, and it will not push the follower up far enough to catch the slide, and then you just might need to change your magazine spring. The next function we will do is the firing pin check. Again, I'm going to place point the firearm in a safe place, pull the trigger, then I'm going to shake this. Now, I don't know if you can pick this up. It's not very loud. I don't know if you can pick it. But if you shake this, you should be able to hear the firing pin rattling in there. If it is not rattling, there's a good chance you might have some grease, oil, and it's become clogged, and then you should disassemble it, clean that area to make sure the firing pin is loose. Last function check we're going to do is the recoil spring. Now for this, I'm going to remove the magazine. And we know if you pull this slide back and let it go, it's going to go into battery. But to check the recoil spring, what I'm going to do is pull this back. I'm going to place it up vertically. I'm going to ease the slide forward till you feel a little resistance there. And then I'm going to release it, and it goes all the way into battery. If for some reason when you get to this point and you release the slide and it does not go fully into battery, your recoil spring, it could be weak. I generally find that this happens after maybe 4,000, 5,000 rounds have put through. They're very durable, and it takes a lot of firing, but sometimes they do weaken, and you have a chance then that the firearm will not go all the way into battery when you're using it. So that pretty much concludes the field strip of this Glock 19. We thank you for joining us. Please take a look at the Southern Bred Adventures site. I would like for you to subscribe to it, and look for further. There'll be more editions of the Southern Bred Adventures coming your way in the near future. Thank you for joining us, and have a good day and stay safe.